Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip the whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and joining me is my life partner in all things, Minna.
So I got to tell you this story. We went to Dallas last weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this we went to a conference, and this is the second time you went to a conference.
Yes.
And it's my first time. And then the last night of the conference, it's a big ass party. We have Gwen Stefani, we have Maroon 5. So everybody's outside on the lawn, and we are all dancing around. And you walked away, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I was following you, but then I got this little old woman. So just grabbed me, goes, "You're Andy's wife." I had no idea who she is. I mean, she looks nice and she's behaving well. So I'm just yes. And who the heck are you? And so my point being that there are some old women that is, and I think she's almost 80, right?
She is up there. I am not gonna say because I don't get in
Well,
trouble.
she told me she's almost 80, and I've never met her before, but she saw me on TV, and I guess somehow she picked me out and was your Andy's wife. So my point being that when you're 80 years old and you're smart, you're funny, you're still healthy, that's kind of like the fountain of youth that she found.
It is. It's amazing. I met her last year, and I'm not gonna call her out on her name, but she is such a dear friend, and she started following me on Facebook and started following our show, and that's how she recognized you, and that totally surprised me too. I turn around and here she is. She's hugging my wife, and yeah, like Minna says, that she is literally where we want to be in the next 20, 30 years, right? It's like she's full of vibrancy. She was funny. She's standing up straight. She's smiling. She's happy. She's dancing with the music. It was amazing. And when it comes to aging gracefully, when it comes to living a chronically healthy life, for us, it's really about living a freakishly long time, but having all those aspects, a sharp mind, a healthy body, and your sense of humor. I think that's so important, right?
For sure. And I talked to her a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And she says she's using TRX for training. She
Mhm.
eats well. She's always, on the stem cell patches that we're using.
Correct.
So she knows what she's doing.
Exactly. And I think it's important. There's so much information, there's so much noise, and it's hard to follow a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And everyone's about individual. Not everything works. But tonight, we're gonna peel back the veil a little bit, and we're gonna share a few things of what we do on a daily basis to not only look younger than we are, we obviously act younger than we are. I think that's also important, but also to be very young inside the body. I mean, like what it looks like inside in your blood and your organs.
Okay, so let's get started. What do we do?
Well, first off, I think one of the things that a lot of people think that is crazy is we use fat as a primary source of fuel instead of sugar, right?
I put butter in our coffee, and that's our morning. That's the only thing we take in the morning.
Exactly. And it's funny because we eat a lot of avocados, we eat a lot of coconut oil, we eat a lot of saturated fats. You're going to know some of the things that help you live a long time will go against everything your doctor's going to tell you.
Right? It's gonna be like high cholesterol, and we don't eat 3 meals a day.
Mhm.
We don't. What don't we do? We don't do a lot of things that doctors tell us to do.
Well, the other thing is first thing in the morning is we supplement. And I think it's really important. A lot of people thinking that supplement is a waste of money, but to be honest, I think all the diets out there are very good. I'm not going to bash which one's better, which one's worse. You got the ketogenic, you got vegans, you got vegetarians, you got the paleo, you got all these different diets. And I think they're all good and they have the bad things too. And when I think, when I talk about the bad things, for instance, for vegans and vegetarians, you can be missing on some essential minerals, right, Minna?
Like essential amino acids. You're missing a whole lot of stuff that unless you're, it's almost like unless you're like a professional athlete, you have a dedicated trainer or dedication nutritionist that's actually counting. You're taking all 20 amino acids. Most of the time, you're not going to get that.
Exactly. If when you're eating straight vegetarian, vegan, there are certain amino acids you just can't get because they're in meat products, they're in dairy products, and they're in chicken eggs, right? You eat an egg a day and you get all your amino acids. And one of the other things that is really important for longevity and really crucial for the life wave patches, the stem cell activating patches to work, is to have copper in your diet. And a lot of people, if they're not eating meat, they're not eating seafood, guess what? You're not getting copper. So, you're going to have to supplement copper into your daily regimen.
Yeah. And the other thing that we do, I guess, is that we regularly detox.
Yes. Like every morning you got this funky thing from your tinctures that you give me. And I don't even think about it. It's in a little shooter glass. It tastes horrible, but I take it religiously every morning. And it's important, like Minna says, we are exposed to all these chemicals in our water, in our foods, in the air. We got heavy metals, we got pesticides, and we got all these things that may have been introduced to your body that you didn't know about. I'll just leave it at that. So you want to have these detox protocols in order to get these things out of your body.
So I guess one of the things that you've been reading on that you've been telling me about is salt.
Yes.
How we tell people they have to drink enough water, but sometimes that's actually not enough.
Correct. And it's funny because if you go speak to your doctor, they'll tell you to limit your salt. And they said that salt causes high blood pressure. But when you don't have enough salt in your diet, it can actually affect everything in your body, how your hormones work, how your kidneys work, how your heart works, right? And, because we are electrically charged beings, and salt is actually what gives us that positive, negative charge, right?
True.
And it's really funny because, a lot of viewers, out there, you probably know that my brother's on dialysis, and every few hours he's on this drip. And guess what? 3 are saline drips filled with salt water. So if you're saying that salt is toxic, how can that be saving his life? By using saline drips. Or when you're going to the doctor, guess what? When they put you on a drip, you're dehydrated, you're on a saline drip, which is salt and water.
Yeah, I guess when we talk about like holistic protocols, alternative, which is not mainstream medicine, it's not going to work as fast as medication as like a surgery, right? It's going to work right away if you do surgery. But when you do like holistic protocols, you do herbals or whatnot, put phototherapy, whatnot, it takes longer. So you do have to be more patient.
Exactly. They are not drugs. I think people are so used to drugs having a fast response. You take a Tylenol and your headache's gone. Well, you're just numbing the headache. It's not actually gone. What's causing it is still there, right? So I think that is very important to, when you're working with holistic healers, holistic protocols, expect to take months before things start improving. It took months for your body to decline. It's going to take months for it to repair.
Perfect. So we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we'll have Biohack and our guest of the week.
We'll be right back.
An empowered life has no expiration date. We're all created to do incredible things, like conquer summits, catch big waves, and live our passions. As time goes on, our bodies begin to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy levels decline, sleep patterns shift, and recovery slows. But our bodies are masterpieces of design, holding the potential to bounce back better than ever. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and regenerative science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHKCU, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, which requires external light sources, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality, enhancing the body's flow of natural energy. For improvements in strength, stamina, performance, and overall health and well-being, with the simplicity of an affordable, non-invasive, non-transdermal patch. As we age, levels of these life-enhancing elements, which are associated with wellness and longevity, begin to decline. LifeWave invested 10 years into stem cell research, which resulted in over 70 patents. X39 was born to bring to the public a product that can support wellness in an entirely new way, supporting the production of younger, healthier cells with wearable light technology. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. Harness your body's natural potential to maintain youthful energy and vitality, because life comes at you fast, but it doesn't have to pass you by. Live long, live well, live young. Be the light with LifeWave X39. LifeWave.
Welcome to Chronically Healthy Life. In our biohacking segment today, I'm going to show you how to make Nutella. So Nutella is kind of like a hazelnut chocolate spread. It's a little bit sweet, and it's chocolatey, it's nutty, and who doesn't like it? But when you buy Nutella from the store, it has all sorts of preservatives and bad sugar and bad oil, which is not what you want. So it's much better that you make your own, and it's very easy. All you need is, I have here is 4 ounces of sit-down batches, or you can go, up to you. Okay, 4 ounces of hazelnuts. I have here 3 ounces of unsweetened organic chocolate chips or chocolate discs. I have 1.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon of organic avocado oil, and I have about 1 tablespoon of monk fruit sugar. And you will also need a dash of vanilla extract and a little bit of salt. So first thing first is we're going to have to roast the hazelnuts and melt the chocolates. So stick the hazelnuts into the oven for 350 degrees, about 10 minutes or so, and then take it out, peel off the skin and let it cool down a little bit, and also melt the chocolate chips. Okay, so to melt the chocolate, you want some boil pot of water and put a glass bowl on top of it, and just put in the chocolate chips and let it heat up, and eventually chocolate melt. It takes a few minutes, but when you do it this way, it's much better than you stick in a microwave oven, so that you don't burn the chocolates. Okay, so I have roasted hazelnuts. It took up most of the skin, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just stick it in. So you're going to throw those into a blender and blend those first. Okay, so you want to blend the hazelnuts for about 1 or 2 minutes, just to make sure that it's almost like a paste. And then you can put in the cocoa powder, the sugar, the melted chocolate, okay, a dash of salt. So I have Celtic salt here, so just like a pinch of it. And just maybe half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is homemade. Now I still have the oil and we'll leave that for later. But for now, let's blend these together. And again, blend this for about a couple minutes. Okay, you're almost done. You want to add in just a tad bit more oil. And so the oil will make it a little less chunky and creamier. And just give it a good blend again. Okay, and there you go. It looks like this. So this is, oh, let me taste it first. It's good. You can adjust the sweetness if you add a little more sugar and just make it a little sweeter. I like it tart, so this is actually good for me. So with homemade Nutella, you have organic chocolates, good fats from the oil, monk fruit sugar, which is low glycemic, and hazelnuts, which is actually a very good fat also. So it's actually way better than if you buy like a store-bought Nutella, and it's yummy. All you have to do is pour it out and stick it in the fridge because there's no preservatives, so make sure you stick it in the fridge. Or you can finish it faster if you want to. But otherwise, yeah, that's it. This is your homemade Nutella recipe. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. Today we have a special guest, Caleb Bullard, who is a dedicated Christian, an Army veteran, and former police officer, who now helps individuals and families secure their financial futures after witnessing firsthand how market volatility can impact retirement plans. Caleb, now his mission is to educate others about the financial strategies used by the wealthy. And as a financial strategist, he reveals the secrets of the wealthy, empowering you to have the finances to dream again. Welcome, Caleb. How are you? Thank you for joining us today.
I am blessed by the best. I'm so thankful to be here. Everybody listening in, go get your friends, bring them on this call. Let's support Andy and Minna. Let's support the show. Let's get everybody on this, and we're going to have a great episode.
I love it. I love it. So, Caleb, to start, could you share maybe just a little bit about your journey from serving in the Army and law enforcement to becoming a financial strategist? And basically, what inspired this shift and drives your mission to empower others financially?
Yes. So I don't know if anybody else has grew up in church. I grew up in church, and part of that was instilled in me certain disciplines. Obviously, a discipline of serving, wanting to help other people, helping other people live better lives. And I love what you're doing with the show, Andy, when it comes to helping people learn the right information and showing them how to actually input that to see a difference in their health. So I said, I want to make a big difference with my life. And we would get different missionaries that came in through our church over time. And it was always, them pitching, what they're doing, trying to get the church to support them. And I said, this is really cool how these missionaries are doing this, sacrificing, giving up, really a great life to be able to go to these third world countries and just give back that way. But I said, how much better would it be if you could support and grow something to be able to do that from a high level compared to just you yourself being an individual making that difference? I said, if I can affect more lives, I want to make that happen. So I had that in the back of my head. Now, I always wanted to serve in the country. My dad was a jarhead. If you guys have any military members, thank you for their service if they've served. And if you don't know what a jarhead is, it just means a Marine. It's just kind of like a nickname that we give them. And it was because on the ships, they'd always, I don't know if you guys have ever been on a naval ship or anything like that before, but it's kind of like an oval opening through the doors. You step through it, like you knock your head, so charhead, right? So if you forget to duck your head a little bit, you're a little bit taller, it can become a problem. But anyways, I went into the Army. I was in the Army for 6 years as a combat medic. Again, just really enjoying being able to give back and serve other people. At the same time, get a lot of fulfillment by serving my country too. At the same time, very patriotic. The blood runs in my family. And then as I got finished up with that, I started looking at different options. Do I want to continue down the medical field and help people out that way? Or do I want to get into law enforcement? I mean, a lot of family in my life that's law enforcement. And I decided that I didn't want to do 12 years of school. I wanted to just do a couple and be done with it. So I decided the law enforcement option. And I'm glad I did. I learned a lot of great, valuable lessons, interacting with people, personal communication, a lot of great skills I picked up from that job. But after a couple of years, I had an injury that kind of forced me out of law enforcement, looking for something else to do. And I'm sure that all of you on this call can think of something in your life that kind of had you pivot in one way or another. And that was kind of my moment. At the same time, I was trying to figure out what else to do because of the pain I was in with this injury. I saw COVID-19, and I don't know who here has like a 401k or a mutual fund or anything that's tied to the market. Well, I'm sure you know as well as I do that when the market goes down, so does your account value. So unfortunately, I saw family members that had to come out of retirement to work a part-time job because of the uncertainty of the market. They didn't want to pull when their account was down. So I said, that's something that I want to change. I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to anybody else. So I just started looking for the right information and came to find out that actually financial services makes more millionaires than any other industry, even real estate, which I was really surprised by. But I was like, if I want to make a huge difference in these third world countries that I've been able to go to and just see the difference of, living standards and all that, make an impact in those lives, I'm going to need a lot of financial backing to do that. So I saw this opportunity as a way to not only prevent a situation from happening to me that I saw happen to family, prevent that happening to other people, educate people too, because I'm sure Andy, unfortunately, financial education isn't really taught in schools. You get the bare bone basics. Maybe you learn about a bank account, maybe you learn about a check, but that's about it. So now it's just my goal to continue to grow and educate people on better ways to control your finances to make sure that you're getting the most, bang for your buck and, getting the proper information. If you don't have the right information, then you're going to keep spinning in circles. But it's not only getting the right information, it's getting it and then implementing. I always ask people, are you leasing information or are you owning it? Like, it's one thing to know it and it's one thing to actually implement it. And I'm sure you tell your audience that as well, Andy. But that's kind of where I am now, just helping people and continuing to grow that mission of giving back to other countries.
That is so true. And it's interesting because you mentioned COVID, and COVID affected a lot of people, both in their health, which is, what I'm a specialist in. But of course, they also affected a lot of people financially. And it's true. It was like 3 years ago, I was still in California and it was horrible. I'm going to Walmart and you see the people that's there must be all 70, 80, 90 working at the cashiers and at the doors, checking your bags. And normally these should be like entry-level jobs. That's what like high school students should be doing and stuff like that. So let me ask you this, Caleb. Why do you think that the current financial approaches failed this generation?
They were sold a dream that didn't pan out, unfortunately. I mean, if you look at Forbes, MSNBC, several other sources are saying that the 401ks are failing Americans. Look at the last 20 years. There's only about a 4.2% return, and that doesn't keep up with inflation. Inflation's at 7-8%, and it seems to be climbing from there because the amount of debt we're adding on as a country. So I would say just because they trusted the government, they trusted the employers that were telling them, hey, open up this 401k. You don't really think about it. You go through orientation. They get you set up with your 401k, and you're just trusting that that's going to take care of you. But I'll ask people, do you know exactly how much is in your account? And like most people have no idea. I ask them, like, who's managing your account? No idea. And I ask them, like, do you think taxes are going to be more or less in the future? And we kind of show them, like, taxes are going to actually be more in the future based off of a few things that we can cover. And once they realize that, they're like, holy cow, I wish I would have known about what you have to offer way sooner, because it protects you from market losses. You don't got to worry about losing a penny if the market crashes. You still see upside growth if the market goes up. You don't have to worry about the taxes because, we take advantage of certain tax codes, so legal loopholes to avoid paying taxes on the growth of our money. There's a lot of benefits, with it too, but unfortunately, it's not shared, very, very much. It's what the banks invest in. I mean, tier one capital, these big banks are pumping hundreds of billions of dollars into it. So we just show people, hey, let's get your savings account built up. Anything outside of that, let's start pumping into our own tier one capital.
That's interesting because you mentioned the stock market, and there's always this famous saying, it's like it depends on when you get into the market. How crucial do you think timing is nowadays for taking care of your retirement, taking care of your finances, especially if they're like your age, a little younger in their 20s and 30s, as opposed to someone like me in the 50s, or even like you said, your parents, grandparents that may be now in the retirement ages. Like, what do you think about timing? Is it too late for people, or is the timing right now?
Yeah, so that's the great thing about what I did in the financial services space is I wanted to make sure I could help everybody, not just one person. So I got access to different programs that protect you. So it depends on where you are. And obviously, no, it's never a one shoe size fits all. But we would just take a look at your situation, figure out at what age do you want to retire? How much do you want to have when you retire? And that's going to determine like how soon do you need to start, putting money aside for that. Now that's for somebody that's younger, right? And one thing I like to mention too, is it's never too late to make a change. There's always things we can do. Now, obviously, the sooner we make a change, even with our health, the sooner we make a change, the better impact we're going to see. I think I heard in the video, the intro video, how we've spent all this time, eating the wrong foods, doing the wrong things. Like, don't expect a few months from now to see a big difference. It's going to take a long time to shift those years of damage that we did to our body. Well, same thing with our finances. If we've, been living paycheck to paycheck, not putting money aside for the future, putting it into the wrong kind of vehicles financially that are not going as fast as we want them to go, well, then it's going to take some adjustments, right? It's going to be sitting down and recognizing it's not an overnight get rich quick. If anybody ever tells you that, I tell you to run from that. But you want a sure thing that's going to be guaranteed to take care of you and your family in those golden years. So you're not one of these people that Forbes said is too frail to work and too broke to retire.
That is so true, and it's one of the situations where a lot of people don't think about it, right? A lot of people in the past were thinking about making sure they had enough money to retire. For me and Minna, we want everyone to live a freakishly long time, but if you're living a freakishly long time and you don't have any money to retire, that sucks too. So I totally see what you're talking about is planning ahead, and like you said, to have your small capital grow over time. So when it comes to talking about investments, are we talking just mainly like stock market, like when to enter and exit a market, or like you mentioned, you have different packages, like different variables that you can help people with?
Yeah, so I don't like to be directly in the market because once you're nearing retirement, you're in retirement, like for example, we got this upcoming election. We don't know what's going to happen one way or another, but usually we see a market loss, during that time. So there's been several things. I'm sure you guys can remember 2008. If you had any kind of account that was tied to the market, whether it's a mutual fund, a 401k, something tied to the market, your accounts went down 30-40%. Well, I like to be indexed to the market. And really all that means is if the market crashes, we're not going to lose a penny. Our account's going to stay locked in place. Now, the downside to that is if the market went up 20%, we're only going to get about 15% or so of that upside. But when you actually look at a graph over time over the last 20, 30 years, it actually makes more sense to get it, and you get a much higher return, no stress too, right? You don't have to worry about anything happening. You kind of be constantly checking the news. Oh, what's happening today? What world event is going on that's affecting my nest egg that you've worked so hard for? You can sleep well at night, not worrying about having to stay up on the news by just staying indexed to the market. Think of like a stair-step growth where if the market goes up, we go up with it. If it goes down, we just lock in all our gains. We stay flat. And again, if it goes up, we go up with it. And you see that stair-step growth. So over time, it makes a big difference. Now, you're not going to see a huge difference overnight with this unless the market crashed, right? And your accounts, you don't lose that in your account. So when it comes the election coming up, things like that, I would say you want to make a move today, right? We can't go back and change things. I have people talking to me like during COVID, like, is there anything you do now? Like, unfortunately, I'm sorry, like that money's already gone, right? We can't do anything about yesterday. We can't do anything about tomorrow. What we can do is we can focus on the things that we can take advantage of today. Learn the right information, implement it.
I love that. So here I am thinking about, there's got to be people that know some of these things. So how, is this one of the strategies the wealthy uses to prevent loss? And are there other strategies that you can help, the normal folk like us, that the wealthy are using?
There's definitely several strategies. There's over 10 different ways that I specifically help families, and it just depends on what stage they are in their life. But when it comes to the things that the wealthy are using, they're setting up trusts, they're setting up wills, making sure that everything's getting passed on to their family without the state coming in. I don't know if anybody here on this has experienced a probate process where the state comes in and tells the family what's going to happen with everything. So that's one thing we provide, is actually provide free wills and trust through one of the companies that I've partnered with. And then also, we want to make sure that we have what's called, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of family banking, but making sure that the wealth that we've grown is continued to be grown over generations. We're actually leaving a long-term legacy, and not just one person that the money's left to can squander everything, right? We want to make sure we're continuing to grow that for generations. That's something that's important to me. It's talked about in the Bible too, leaving, things for your children's children, all that. And I really encourage you guys to take a look into that if you haven't yet already. And something too, that not many people are aware of. Now, obviously, I would talk to maybe an attorney or something about this, but as you get up in years, you don't realize this until it's too late. But if you end up in a nursing home and you have a lot of assets, an institution can actually come after those assets. A nursing home can actually come after them if they're still in your name. But if they're transferred out of your name with enough time period between that point and you going into a nursing home, the nursing home can't come after that stuff. So there's all these little things that I talk about with people. Again, it depends on what stage you are in life. It's a very much specific situation. Every strategy is different for each person. And that's why, we'll talk about the end of the call, but definitely getting on a follow up with me where I can kind of show you these things in depth that are specific to you and not just like a broad audience.
So it comes down to preventative financial health, right?
Exactly.
It sounds like you have to plan ahead for certain things to make sure that you're financially wealthy down the road and financially healthy down the road. So even like you said, if you had a lot of assets and then you have to go into a senior home or whatever where they can come in, you want to be able to protect that. And I love that how you're talking about protecting your legacy, protecting the money that you're making and stuff, so you have future generations that can dip into that. And it sounds like there's a lot of different strategies you can help people do that. And does this help people of all states of income where they are currently? I'm sure that not everyone's going to be a millionaire and say, hey, Caleb, here's $1 million, make me a 10 times millionaire type of deal,
Right. I completely understand that. So, if somebody's just starting out in life, we do something as simple as just creating somebody a budget. Unfortunately, there's 67% of Americans that are that have never sat down with a financial planner. And then there's 68% that are living paycheck to paycheck. So I really feel like the big reason for that is, you look at those percentages, it kind of makes sense that the reason why is they never actually sat down with somebody to strategize their future. Where do they want to be, and just stick to a plan. So, just starting out, just getting a budget together, that's something that I'd love to do with, for your audience. Don't do it for everybody, but to just share something to get them started down the path so they can see what are the different options and where can I start to get there.
That makes sense. So when you're helping your clients, are there you mentioned step growth, right? Are there certain keys that you find, certain attributes that you help them for financial success?
Could you just rephrase that real quick?
Because I know that you have key attributes that that you go by. I think you have 4 keys that that you go by to help your clients. Can you dive into that a little bit? For every great investment, there were 4 great attributes that you think would help them tremendously.
Oh, 100%. Yes. So the first one, you want to have growth, right? There's no point of investing money into something if you're not going to see growth. I don't know if you guys ever checked your bank account, but I don't know about you, but I've never seen my bank account grow without putting money into it. So obviously probably not the best place to stash our money long-term for retirement. So that's gonna be something like those fixed accounts. Now, after we see growth in our account, we want to make sure that we're taking tax advantage. If there's any tax loopholes that are legal, obviously, I would never encourage you to avoid taxes. But if there's legal loopholes that we can take advantage of, you need to be aware of them to make sure that your money is growing even faster compared to losing all of that money going to the government. And then after tax advantages, we want to make sure that we have safety. We want to make sure whatever this account we put our money into, it has reinsurance built into it. It's protected. I know with banks, they have like 250,000 FDIC insured. Granted, it doesn't cover everything and you're capped at it, but with the programs that I work with, they actually have unlimited reinsurance attached to them. And that's why banks invest those hundreds of billions of dollars into that tier one capital, like I talked about.
Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
And then last is health, right? We want to make sure that your health is being protected. If you needed to access funds, you have the liquidity to pull money out. You also, can maybe have some living benefits too, but where most people that need some form of, life insurance is one of the things that we do. Some form of life insurance, usually they need it while they're alive, right? Because they're not working. They need money to cover the bills, take care of the putting food on the table, getting themselves back on their feet, paying for medical bills, going to the best treatment facility, right? Because I don't know about you, but if I'm sick, I want to go to the best doctor. I don't want to go to the guy right down the street. I maybe want to go to the best guy in the country if it's something significant.
Correct.
Having the funds to do that could really, or not having to do that could really affect your life. I don't know if anybody here can think of a family member that actually experienced an illness and it kind of bankrupted the family. They maybe had to start a GoFundMe account, things like that. And not having the money can actually make things worse as far as like the stress increase, causing the illness to get worse. But if the money's taken care of, they can just fully focus on getting themselves better.
That is so true. I think a lot of people don't plan for the rainy day. I think that's very important, especially like you said, the way the state of the economy is now. There's a lot of people, like you said, you said what, 30-something% living paycheck to paycheck? Is that
67% of Americans, believe it or not, living paycheck to paycheck.
67% are living paycheck to paycheck. Yep. That's insane. And it's just thinking that's like every 7 of my friends out of the 10 that I hang out with is living paycheck to paycheck, and that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy, right?
It's a really sad state, and I personally believe it could totally been prevented with the right information. We could really lower that number a whole lot.
That's awesome, and I think what you're saying is so true. So many people are believing in the big banks, the big investment companies, and saying do this. And it's like you said, for your bank account, what do you get? If you're lucky, 0.01%.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So what are the 4 attributes again? You want growth.
Yep. You want growth. You want tax advantages.
Mm-hmm.
You want protection. And you want safety.
So when it comes to tax protection, I imagine, I remember, because I'm a very big fan of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I remember he was coming onto stage and he says the wealthy knows how to take care of tax advantages. And he brings out this book, and it's as thick as it was like literally a Bible. And he said this was like the tax Bible, like all the ways, like you said, like tax loopholes. But, it's funny because so many people demonize the rich, thinking that they are taking advantage of these, but these loopholes are available to everyone, right?
Yeah. More going to be available to you as a business owner, but even as just a W-2 employee, there's several advantages you can take advantage of. Mm-hmm. And I encourage you to look up the TEFRA, the TAMR tax codes. But like Andy said, do you want to go through a book like this, or would you rather just come to somebody that's already gone through it? Now, I'm not a CPA, but I can still give you some good advice on different things that you can take advantage of, and then refer you to a CPA to actually implement that.
Correct. But like you said, you don't want to be learning, how to invent the wheel all over again. It's always good to get these coaches, these strategists out there that knows how to do it, so you don't have to learn and make the mistakes. I love that. because I think a lot of people don't realize, for one, how to grow their money, and everyone's frustrated, right? Because you, like you said, you're looking at your bank account, and it only goes down; it never goes up.
Right.
And then on top of that, you want the protection, right? Because you're looking for a rainy day. I think that's important, and tax advantages and stuff like that. So for most people, let me ask you this: when they're working with you, do you set them up with success in all 4 of these attributes? Like, that will, whatever you help with them will help in all 4 of these aspects?
Yeah. So the ideal avatar, the ideal client, we can. Now, everybody's situation is different. Maybe they're, if somebody's got a lot of money, saved up, they got a larger nest egg, and they don't want to pay all the taxes on it to put it into a tax-free growth account, then maybe we'll be looking at a different, reallocation to a different program where we're still going to get 3 of the benefits, but not all 4. So if somebody's younger and they can, they have the time, right? They don't have a whole huge nest egg set up already. We can start to build that tax-free growth for them. So again, it's really specific to everybody's situation, but the goal is to get all 4.
Well, let me ask you this, because not everyone, like you said, is going to have that goose egg, or that golden goose that got money laid aside. A lot of people are facing financial stress right now, which is literally hindering them from dreaming or even planning long term. What practical steps would you recommend for someone looking to create just some financial stability right now, so they can dream again with confidence to start saving, so they can grow what they have?
Right. The first thing I would ask you is, as of this moment right now, do you know down to the penny how much money you've spent this month? And I can guarantee you that like 99% of people probably don't, right? Because we think in our head, like we know where we're at, but then we put it on paper and we're like, the difference is huge. There's a huge disparity. So
I'm guilty.
First thing I would do is like just start with the budget, right? We just gotta make small changes, but we gotta figure out, where do you want to be financially? What's the goal and the time frame to do that? Something realistic, obviously. And then like, where are you at right now? So by determining where you want to be, where you're at right now, you can then start to build a game plan, an actual roadmap to get there. But if we don't, we're just going to be wandering around in the forest and, spinning in that financial hamster wheel, I guess you could say, if we don't actually take a look at either of those.
That makes sense. So how do you think one securing one's financial future influence not only personal well-being, but also family stability and generational wealth?
Yeah, I mean, it affects everything. It affects families. There's a good amount of, I think 40% of divorces are contributed to financial stress in the relationship. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you guys can think of some people that just struggle financially and just things that don't work out because of that being one of the main reasons. So I see that affect a lot of relationships. I also see it affect the opportunities. Some people have more opportunities or not growing up because of finances. Also, when it comes to your health too, right? If you don't have the money to, invest into, some great products that, Andy talks about, or some things that he says to do, then unfortunately, you're just not going to get those results. So I think that obviously now, being a Christian, my relationship with, Christ is above all, but my finances literally affect everything. It affects your mindset. Mm-hmm. Because if you're constantly stressed and, fatigued, your mind's not where you need it to be. And then, affects your fitness too, right? If you have to like work all these hours, you're burned out, you don't have time to go to the gym, take care of yourself. So I think that it plays a role into everything.
That is amazing. And I think a lot of people don't think about that, because a lot of people will just try to grab it all and hide the financial situations. I'm sure you deal with a lot of people that way. I hear stories all the time. They get laid off and they continue to pretend to go to work because they're afraid to tell their spouse or their significant other that they got laid off, right? So I can totally see how financial situation can cause some family problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Caleb, here's a final question before we dive in, for people to get a hold of you. So if there was one message or piece of advice that you like all our viewers to take away from today's conversation, what would that be?
Yeah, I got some, we'll talk about in a second, but I got some free resources for you guys. There's actually a free book called Money, Wealth, Life Management. And it's just a great intro. It's like a good 10,000 foot view, just kind of like pique your interest of like different ways that we can make our dollar grow even faster than it currently is, how to protect it better, how to take care of those tax advantages, how to make sure our health's protected too. All that stuff's in that book. So take advantage of that book. And then I would create a budget. I mean, there's several free budgets online. I'm happy to sit down with you and create a budget with you. But I would say that those two things are something that you can do over this weekend. It won't take you much time. Just to, we'll have the link pulled up here in a second, but just to grab a quick, QR code and start reading. It's a really easy book, little book, big print. It's the kind of books that I like to read, right? I don't like all these books, tiny little print, big long pages, like turns me off. But it's a great read. I really encourage you guys to delve into that and setting a budget. Go to google.com, just type in fillable budget, something like that. And, take a look at it and keep track of it. Actually, it's not good enough to make a plan. I talked about plan, do, review. So I'm sure it's the same in the health space as well.
Correct.
We gotta make the plan, right? We gotta sit down and make the plan, and then we gotta do the plan, right? If you make a plan, you don't do it. What's the point of even setting the plan? Right. But then after we do it, you're going to realize things that didn't work, things that did work. And that's when we're going to reset down and make an even better plan. And over time, as we constantly critique these budgets from week to week or month to month, it's going to get better and better for you over time.
That's awesome, Caleb. So what's the best way for people to follow you? You mentioned this book. How do we get this amazing book?
Yeah, so there's a QR code on the screen. What you do is just open up your phone's camera and you put it on there and a link will pop up. Tap on the link and there's some great resources. There's a free webinar I put in there for you guys. It's about a 10-minute webinar. Really just go a little bit further over what we talked about today. There's a link to schedule on my calendar. I'd love to get in touch with you guys and see how we can help grow your finances. And then lastly, just follow me on Instagram. I'm starting to get more vocal on social media. I started out with just warm market, but now that I'm growing, I realized that social media is something that I need to be on. So I'd love to have your support if you found value today.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being a guest and sharing all your wealth hacks today for our viewers, Caleb.
You're so welcome, Andy. And again, thank you for having me on. It was a privilege.
We will talk again soon, and we'll be right back after this commercial from Kids Corner.
Hey, everybody. Okay, for more Halloween fun for October, I found a couple really fun games that you can play with your own kids, or if they have friends over, or if there's a party. Super fun little things to play for ooey gooey and scares. Here we go. First, we're going to play a game called Musical Scares. And instead of musical chairs, do musical scares, where every time the music stops, the kids strike a scary pose. And then when the music starts again, they wander around the room. And when the music stops, they strike another scary pose. And super fun, and they can all laugh and giggle, and you can take pictures and video and have some fun with that. You can use Halloween music like Monster Mash, Purple People Eater, and Haunted Halloween songs. Those are always fun. Okay, the next game is Bucket O' Guts. So for this, you need a large tub or container filled with something like cooked pasta, noodles, or Jello, something that feels, if you're not looking at it and you don't know what it is, it feels slimy to the touch. And then, but in there, when the kids can't see you, put in all kinds of little toys, things that, won't disintegrate. So maybe not stickers, but toys that the kids can find that are small. And they reach in blindfolded, and then they have to dig around in the ewy guts to pull out a toy. And then they get, of course, to keep their toy. So, and then little tip, make sure you have some water for them to wash their hands, because it's a little yucky, but it's fun and they love it. And then at the end, they always have to tell everybody what they think the guts are. So, all right, everybody, happy Halloween. See you next time.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. That interview went great.
You know, I met Caleb at a speaking event a month and a half ago, and we connected. We had a lot of talks. He was talking about his injury and stuff like that. But it's interesting for his age. That was when I was doing my own business, and we had some ups and downs, and we had some business that made some stupid money. But it would have been nice to know some of the stuff he's talking about, to have someone like him invest all that stupid money, because all those stupid money went to investment that, we
learned our lesson.
tanked us, right? We'll leave it at that. If people want to learn a little bit more about that, that's for another episode.
So who do we have next week?
Next week, we have another guest, another dear friend. We met her. Well, I met her at BTBY also, and she is coming out to be a new coach, and I want to support her. Her name is Tasha Salinas.
Perfect. So join us back here Friday, 7 p.m. CST. You can watch past episodes at watch.e360tv.com in the Vitality TV network, on our YouTube channel, Chronically Healthy Life. And if you'd like to know more about what we do and how we can help you live your chronically healthy life, visit our webpage on chronicallyhealthylife.com.
And also, we always love to hear comments, questions, or suggestions about a show. You can comment us at our Facebook page, Chronically Healthy Life, or email us at anything at Chronically Healthy Life. And of course, if you have any questions at all, scan that QR code. That's straight to our calendar, and set up a 30-minute free call of us. And we'll chat. We'll have like a little coffee chat, and we'll figure out how we can move forward to help each other live a chronically healthy life.
Perfect. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.